Welcome to the show. I'm Danella, and here's what's happening now. This week, we're going to do things just a little bit different. And I want to focus on where things are now. And what's making me feel this in my heart of hearts is the divisiveness that our country is experiencing, right? And if we really think about it, we can see that it's not just happening here where pipe bombs are being sent in the mail to multiple people, but also when we look at other countries as well. And one of the best parts about having a podcast is the ability to talk and to speak really about issues that touch your heart and whatever's on your spirit. So here's where we are. And that's what today is going to be about, because it's heavy on my heart to really highlight that it's clear that there is an attack that's happening, I feel, right? And I think we're really at a period of our life where in the past, and I've said this in previous shows, but in the past, it was much easier to be negative and keep it to yourself, I feel like. But now it seems that it's really coming more polarized in that you either are going to have to be somebody that's good or somebody that's bad, and really making that distinction. And so when you're seeing so much rhetoric, reports, and it's not just what you're hearing from Trump, but in the world, they call it being a nationalist. Yeah, I think that's a dog whistle, just going to say it, for racism, separatists, division, divisiveness. And now you're seeing more in our country because it's been happening in other countries for many years, where a person would just take it into their own hands and fight against whoever, they feel has a different ideology that's negative to them, right? And to me, that's what I'm feeling in the case of these pipe bombs, specifically being related to, I don't like what you say, I don't like what you're doing, I want to end you and end others like you. And the American dream is that we have this freedom to be who we are and to say what we want, and should be, everyone is welcome. That's what it should be. And that's not the case. It's not the case. And I want to also now talk about the other thing that's happening, and that specifically are the migrants on foot heading to America. And the reason I want to talk about this in this platform is I'm having these discussions amongst my friends. And I really do think my friends are pretty much people that are very accepting, non-judgmental, because I can't really ride with you if you're not like that. I'm just saying, I can talk to you, but I can't really fully kick it with you in my inner circle if you're somebody that, is not that way, being just open and allowing people to be who they are. So my friends that are open, and I mean, understanding, accepting people, I'm hearing them just speak about how they think of the migrants. And I realize, if you look at them, and I just want to bring this other thing up. If you really look at them, and they're doing reports where you see reporters in the trenches, and they're in the trenches in the sense of saying they're on foot with the migrants and interviewing them and, filming what's near them. What do you see? You know what I see? Women, children, I see some men as well. But literally, I'm looking at people in flip-flops, guys. Sandals. How bad must your life be for you to put on what you have and you go and walk through countries wearing sandals? Children are on people's backs. And so I was talking to a friend of mine, and I said, you're looking at people carry children in their arms and they're prepared to walk through countries, right? And I said, you don't see carriers. And my friend was like, this particular friend is a male. And he was like, "What's a carrier?" And I said, "Oh, think about it. Kind of like a book bag for your child. You know, you can wear your child on your chest or on your back, but that's modern day moms, right?" I was like, "Shoot, I barely use carriers, but I probably were gifted three with my child, three for one child." And just to say, here it's easy in that we forget sometimes, not everybody, depending on your life, but we forget how hard and how difficult it is because sometimes we're just so in our bubble and we're so much into what our world is giving us at that moment, whether it be internal strife with someone you love, or maybe it's with your job you don't like, and you get in this bubble and in this world that you're in, sometimes all you can see is what's in front of you, and that's your reference. And it's important for us to have empathy for others. Really have empathy, because we can say, yeah, you're right to say there's people need jobs here in America, and there's a lot of immigrants here. I mean, I argue we're all immigrants, let's be real, unless you're Native American. But yeah, the argument is there's enough. But for a mom, dads, grandparents, all you can do is put what you have. I know if I'm taking a hike in the woods, I might be going a mile. I'm not wearing flip flops, sandals, because that's all I have. I'm wearing soled, comfortable shoes, walking in torrential rain, not even knowing if you're going to get in a place. And I know that some of you may think that they should be stopped. Some of you may think that this is a plot. Someone is putting them up to this. But when I use my heart and empathy and look, I just, as a mom, I'm like, no mom is going to consciously carry her child in flip-flops, cross countries, not cities, not towns, countries, unless there is a dire situation. If you're talking survival, that's when you see what moms can lift up cars. Dads, you can too, lift up a car to save a child. But you're not, if someone puts you up to it, you're not like, let me risk my child, my health, my child's health, my body, and put it through the strain of on foot. Some of them are on cars, but you're seeing thousands on foot walking. So this is one of the reasons that I wanted to do the show a bit differently, because I'm just watching this migrant situation and also hearing people and hearing the discussions, and we have conspiracy theories and everything that everybody's thinking and saying. And definitely we all have to know that, whatever the news we're doing, it's our job to kind of filter it and see where the truth lies. But that's why it's important to check multiple sources. And it is important when they have the journalists on the ground interviewing people, that type of investigative reporting is priceless, because they're in the trenches, and literally to see people and they're one shot I saw this reporter, this is when they were taking a break, I forget which part of Mexico they were in at the time, because so much has happened since then. But they stopped a day because one of the migrants died, fell off of a bridge. And so they honored that passing, and they took the day to rest. And people in Mexico bring in tamales, clothing in Mexico. So let's think about the culture there. Also, cartel heavy there, where you walk out in the street and you can see heads, bodies decapitated, or heads just in the street, and so much violence in some of the parts. And listen, migrants on foot walking through different parts of Mexico, and people are like, yo, I'm going to give you what I have to help what you're going through be easier. So this coupled with seeing, somebody make pipe bombs and send it to people who represent the same type of ideals in our world. And these are just two main things this week, separate from all the other things that are happening in the world. So it made me say, on one end, my heart of hearts feel, and I put this on Twitter in the moment, and I still feel it right now. And that is that I had to send out love and light to the world, like to the world, but also specifically to those in the world. And maybe it's you. And if it's not you, maybe it's something to consider. Is that in your day, if your day is a day where you purposely are putting out love, purposely trying not to make somebody else's life harder, because we all know, and please, we've all had friends. I've had friends like this, and their purpose was to just stay in drama. I've had friends use the reference, I'm the kind of person that would drop a Molotov cocktail off in the room and then, see everybody else react, And I was like, that was actually a coworker. But I liked her as a friend, and she said it, and I was like, that's interesting. Like, I'll drop it. I won't say I dropped it, but I want to see people respond. And I'm not saying that's negative, but I'm saying if you're not purposely dropping those kind of things, or even, figuratively, and in your mind, it's, let me just, while I'm here in the body that I'm in, at the time that I'm in, be the best that I could be and not really mess with anybody, then I'm sending love and light to you, because that's a hard thing to continue to do as the world gets more divided and, you start to feel helpless. Like, what can I do? It's just me. What can I do? And you're seeing all these reports. I swear, literally, guys, I'm looking at things to talk to you about, and I'm like, negative, negative, negative. Everything's so negative. And so I try to tell you, like, hey, here's what's going on. And I just realized, you know what? This week's episode is going to be, hey, it's important for us with all of the things that are going on to learn some lessons. And I think one of the most human lessons that we need, right, is empathy for others, right? Empathy in the sense of being able to really feel what somebody else is feeling. Try to maybe relate an experience that you've had in the past to something that they're going through. And I feel that if you're able to look at, even the migrants that are coming up here, and you see their struggles with empathy in your heart, because think about some of the people that come over here, their journey. I know there's legal ways, and that's good. That's what we should be working towards. No one should be coming here illegally. But for people who feel that they have no choice, the torture that they endure when they're being smuggled up here, the things that are happening will tear your heart to hear, let alone experience and live, because you have people just at the mercy of these smugglers. And we're talking things that they do to children. And then to come to America, and then you're in a detention center because you've come here illegally. So I definitely don't know what a solution is for that, but I'm just saying in this moment right now, my heart of hearts is like, this podcast is going to be this, sending love and light to those in the world, to our world as a whole. And in addition, if you are somebody, whether you are a first responder, whether you are a daughter, a son, a mom, a grandparent, but you every day are somebody who tries to make the world, just try to make it better. Even if it's just by telling someone, hey, you dropped this here. You dropped this. This came out of your purse. Or let me hold the door. Can I help you with that? Any small way that you're trying to make the world better, I am sending love and light to you, and the message that you are not alone. There are others like us. And we must continue to do those things, no matter how crazy it gets. We must, because that's the only way change will happen. It's the only way. So, for all of you that are listening, that are watching, I do want to thank you. I hope this isn't, I don't know what you're feeling right now. I don't know what you're feeling. But my hope is that you feel love that I'm sending out right now. You feel light that I'm sending out right now. And my hope is that you pass that on. When you finish hearing this this podcast, when you finish watching this podcast, when you finish, promise me, if you could just do that for one person outside of yourself, it will mean the world to the world, because we need it. We are clearly in troubling times. And definitely as we get closer to midterm elections, I am sure it's going to be even more troubling. So it's important for us to know that we are not alone. And it's important for us to know that even if right now the world is just showing so much negativity, that there's still a lot of good. There's still a lot of love that doesn't get the same light and shine. But just because you don't see it often doesn't mean that it's not there. And yeah, that's really in my heart of why I need to say that here. Because I know if you're listening to this podcast, you're somebody that identifies. I know if you're watching, you're somebody that identifies. I can feel that. So we're not alone. You are not alone. So, as always, I want to thank you for joining the show. Continue to email. You can email me, Danella, at DanellaNOW.com, and on social media at DanellaNOW. I hope that you have an incredible weekend. And if your heart allows for you to consciously do one selfless, loving thing for someone outside of yourself. Just once. Have an incredible, loving weekend, and I will see you next week.